Hey everybody, do you want to increase your hookup ratio with jerkbaits? Now, fishing jerkbaits for me a couple of years ago, I would probably hook, 1 in 10 bites. I would convert them into a fish. And then I did something, just completely changed something that kind of goes against the grain, and I started catching more fish. So, my setup, what I was doing, was just kind of like everybody. I give the rod a big jerk, and then as I would try to reel up the slack, keeping you know some not really tight, but you'd always have slack in your line, and you try to keep it as tight as possible without moving the bait. And unfortunately, 9 out of 10 times, by the time I could see the bait move or the line move, and by the time I got the line reeled up and the hook set, the fish was gone. Or in my case, I'd see a big muskie. They would just take the bait, just grab the whole bait, and they would start moving away with it. And when I'd swing to set the hook, unfortunately, I would lose the bait because it'd just get cut off. And these were nice muskies too. I'm not saying I would have landed them with this other technique. Hopefully, I would have pulled the bait away from them, because honestly, I've caught big muskie on bass tackle, but on treble hook lures, it's really hard. You run a pretty high risk of losing it without a leader. So the technique that I went to is I got a relatively high speed reel. I've got the Lose Crush, and I fish 100% braid on my crankbaits, have for years. And the rod I've got, this is actually a really nice rod, but because I fish braid a lot, I go with a more moderate action. So this has a really nice bend. Hopefully that shows up on the camera, but it's got a pretty solid backbone. But it does have a lot of give. And I think that is key. It doesn't matter whether you're using with this technique, whether you're using fluorocarbon or braid, or you might be able to get away with it with mono with an extra fast, but I just find a lot of times an extra fast, especially with crankbaits, spinnerbaits, you run the risk of losing fish with too stiff a tip. And that's why I go with kind of more moderate actions, or I go with, I fish a Dobbins, but a Dobbins fast. That's more like a moderate and say a St. Croix, or even like this Lose. So what I changed up doing, instead of sweeping the rod, giving it a good jerk, and then trying to get the slack up and hit the fish as I take as you can see the line move, try to get all the slack out to get a hook set. What I started doing is using the reel and not moving the rod at all. And I would just reel up, pause, change the cadence to what I needed for the fish. And this even works. This is, like I said, a high-speed reel, or relatively high-speed reel. It's not one of like a Revo Rocket or anything, but I've even fished baits like the 6 Sense Hyper Jerk, which you're supposed to work super fast, and you got to reel like crazy, but it works, and I catch fish on it. Now, the one key to this though is you never want to point your rod straight out at the fish, because then you're just using the drag to catch it. Because if you're pointed straight out, when they hit it, they're gonna get the drag right away, and they're gonna feel it and spit it, and your hook percentage is gonna drop. So generally, what I do is probably a 15 to 20 degree angle with the rod, and then just reel stop, and you're still gonna get slack line, but you're not gonna get feet of slack line. You're gonna get inches of slack line. The bait's still going to pause, it's going to suspend nicely, you're going to still get great action on it, but when they take it, it's going to load up the rod, and you're going to feel it, you're going to hit it, and you're going to land more fish. I rarely miss a bass now on a jerkbait, because of this. The nice thing about it, and the reason I go with the moderate rod, regardless if it would be fluorocarbon or braid, is because you got the softer tip with the moderate rod. And what that does is just when they take it, it cushions it a little bit and gives you just that split second extra to get the hook set before they spit it. If you have a fast action rod, it's going to load up super quick and you're going to have very little time to hook the fish. So yeah, I really like this technique. And also, if you're worried about the bait running to one side because you don't have it straight out, if you're pulling it to one side, what I will do is, you know, maybe reel a little bit to the right for a little bit and then just kind of turn and just move the rod tip, kind of shift my body, which I can't really sitting in this chair, but so I just kind of work slowly the rod side to side to keep the bait coming back straight. Because every once in a while when you get a little, like if you had the rod all the way over here, which would be great, you know, for letting the rod load up when they hit it, but you are going to start then kind of steering the bait. So I just kind of keep it 15 to 20 degrees. So I still, when they hit it, you still get the bend in the rod, you take advantage of the rod, but you're not steering the bait. So yeah, if you like what you see, give me a like and then take a look at my other videos. And if you like what you see, give me a subscribe. It'd be much appreciated. Hope this works for you. It's worked wonders for me and made jerkbait fishing probably one of my favorite ways to fish. Take care, everybody.